Domestic violence is not a single victim crime. The ramifications and collateral damage can inevitably plague an entire family, community, and those who bear witness. What is the caustic effect on the children? What are the ramifications of seeing your parent emotionally and physically abused, repeatedly? This is the story of one child in particular, Selena Ray, and how events and experiences of domestic violence resulted in psychological, physical, and emotional damage, which led her to addiction and eventual death. As Selena's sister and the last remaining member of the immediate Ray family, I aim to investigate Selena's tragic past and the intricate layers of her story.
Selena was the sweetest, most loving, giving child you've ever encountered. She was always happy, always with a smile on her face when she was little. It was almost like she had this impish smile that you kind of thought, what had she been up to? Like she looked like she had been doing something, but you didn't know about it. It was funny, and she had that little chuckle. And she just had a way about her. She was a very self-confident little thing.
Well, Selena was a beautiful looking girl, and she liked to do what she wanted to do. And she wasn't a very good driver. And she wrecked a car coming up the lane here.
When was that, Pat?
That was a few months before she passed. For a year.
I always remember Selena as just being young, very caring and very happy child. Always concerned about other people and very emotional. She would watch the shows where you would donate to help the animals in the shelter, and she would cry, and she would want to help people and give money to people and strangers.
All right.
I'm Galen, and I am Selena and Marissa Ray's Nana, and I've known Selena literally all of her life. You can ask her for her, you know.
Okay, hi, I'm Dana Tatry-Fabrero. I'm Selena's aunt. She lived with us after her mom passed away.
I'm Luke Tatry, Selena Ray's grandfather.
When do you first remember her meeting my dad, Sean?
When she worked at Chi Chi's, when she was a waitress. That's the first I can remember.
I'm not really sure when they met. I think they met through mutual friends. Your mother had some friends over in the Greensburg area. When they started dating, I'm not exactly sure, because she was already in a master's program at Duquesne, and she had her own apartment at that time and was living by herself close to Pittsburgh, where she worked and went to school. And then they moved in together. When her lease was up on the apartment, they actually moved in together at his mother's place over in Irwin, and they were living with her in the house. And they lived together for a few years before she got pregnant with Marissa.
Did she ever really talk to you about him, or why she stayed with him?
She was afraid of him. She felt like she could just do whatever to placate him. If she was just nice to him, then she could kind of handle him and control his behavior.
Who knows? Maybe she loved him. And forgave him.
When Mom, which is Rochelle, was about 7 months pregnant, he got angry and he punched her a couple times in the abdomen, and she drove herself to the ER. She was pregnant with Selena, yes. And so she called me from the hospital and asked me to come over, and she asked me to take Marissa home with me because she was going to keep her overnight.
Mom told me that she He punched her in the stomach while she was pregnant and hit her.
She didn't tell me that. She would hide a lot from me.
Selena was born March 13th, 1998. Throughout her early childhood, she bore witness to domestic violence on a routine basis. When she was 5 years old, the first public incident of domestic violence against her mother, Rochelle Tatry, occurred.
She went to his apartment because he had moved out and they'd been separated for a while. And he said, "Come on over and I'll give you the key." And this big fight broke out after he lured her up into the apartment, and he had the door locked, and he got between her and the door, and he had a baseball bat, and he was using it on her, and he hit her numerous times. The sliding door was open, and we're not sure. She says she jumped from the third story. We all in the family thought that he threw her off. I got the call that she had been life-flighted into Allegheny General, and her face was swollen, probably twice the size, and it was all bruised, and she had pelvic injuries and leg injuries, and it was unbelievable how she looked, and she had rehab. She had inpatient rehab at a facility. She had OT and she had PTs. And the girls came to live with me, and Selena was a preschooler. She was very kind. She was loving. And then all of a sudden, she changed. And it was around 12, and she was going into her 13th birthday. And her mother told me that she was starting to cut herself. And I said, "Why?" I said, "That's not who Selena is. Selena's a happy child. Why would she cut herself?" And she was cutting herself frequently, on her, especially her left wrist, because obviously she's right-handed. And I believe Rochelle had some intervention done then, and she had her seen by a psychiatrist. And she also started the eating disorder, where she was upset with her body weight because she had put on some weight, and then she didn't want to eat, and she'd go with bouts of not eating anything and trying to lose weight.
I think as she became older and realized like what was going on and witnessed, a lot of the abuse in the home, I think it just changed her, like kind of took her spirit from her.
So on her 13th birthday, we went to Florida, and we went out for a dinner. And she got cards from everybody with a considerable amount of money. She took all the money, and they had a birthday party for her, and bought alcohol. And Selena consumed a considerable amount. And someone called her mother, and her mother went up there, and she had passed out, and then Rochelle took her to St. Joe's. And she had consumed such a considerable amount of alcohol that they had trouble getting her heartbeat. And they worked on her, and then we came in, and they started the IVs to decrease the amount of alcohol in her system. And she came around, and she was a mess. I mean, she was a mess because she was on the ground, and she was dirty, and her feet were dirty, and her hands. I said to her, Selena, why did you do this? And she said, I just don't want to live. And I did this on purpose. She said that he hit her. And when the nurse came in, she told the nurse that he hit her and put her up against the wall. And the nurse said, you know, I'm a mandated reporter. And so he said, she can't go home into that environment.